Hey everybody, Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and I'm delighted to be sitting next to Perry Oosting, CEO of Hasselblad. And Perry, we're sitting in the back of Highline Stages. That's why we've got, what the heck. It is what it is, right? And we'll just try to talk over it. We may have interruptions here. The sound, even with wireless mics, may not be the best that it can be. It doesn't matter. Let's have a conversation.
It's maybe the buzz that we're having with the launch of the H6D, right?
Let's talk about that, the buzz around the H6D. So it's very exciting. That's going on right outside.
Right. Thanks for having me. I'm delighted, of course. It's a lot of hard work that we've done in 2015 at the beginning of 2016. And it's always kind of, now we're there, right? Really happy that the hard work of the team in Sweden and the vision together with the team that we had at Hasselblad, that is being really well perceived. I mean, that was the most important thing. Perceived in the sense that I think we meet expectation and sometimes are above expectation of that what people were expecting from our first launch in 2016. So it's an exciting moment. I mean, bringing back Hasselblad on the core values and to be part of that pinnacle of still photography and to be perceived as one of the best camera brands out there. I say perceived by, I mean, there's no arrogance on our side. We're very modest in that sense, but I think that what we delivered and also what we have shared already with some people who've seen the product, who touched the product, who shot with the product, are really amazed in terms of the features, the specification, but moreover, where it's all about is the optical quality.
Well, so what you're really talking about, and let's go into it a little bit deeper, are these core values. It's interesting how easy it is for a brand to forget what the promises are that it's making to the marketplace. And it seems to me that with raw 4K recording at 30 frames per second, you're extending the brand attributes a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's one of the features. We come to core values later. I think that the video capabilities, both on the 50 and the 100, was delivered because we spoke to our photographers, our friends, our ambassadors, our customers. And when you look at their studios and what their need was, that with the workflow they had, they wanted to have a short video, sometimes of the making. It was a request of their clients. They wanted to have it on the same card, so that was easy then to file, and that's why we delivered video. We still see the H6 as a top still photography camera and not as a video camera. Video is just an attribute as a service, and that nobody has to take another camera for that. So that was the reason why we put video in.
This is very interesting because with that being said, your target audience are still the core Hasselblad still photographers, and does that mean that you don't see the H6D competing with other 4K raw recording dedicated video cameras?
No, not at all. I think if you look at brands such as RED or others, I think that they are specialists in video, and we are still specialists in still. I think that we need to see, of course, with the 4K and the RAW, how taking out stills from your video, from your frames, how is that gonna do? But it's absolutely no focus on positioning the H6 as a video camera. It's a still photography camera that, by the way, shots video.
Very interesting. Another core attribute, a brand attribute, core value, is the user experience, the ergonomics, and it was very interesting to see Paul Clausen, going through that. Wonderful that he has such a personal family history with the company. But he said something fascinating. He said, if you're familiar and comfortable with smartphones, you'll be comfortable with the user interface on the new back. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, what are the core values? What is our USP? I mean, it was one of the first things we did when I started in 2015, because it's very important that we align ourselves and say, where do we want to stand for? What is our direction? And that's what we've done, of course, with a strategic plan, with a 3-year plan. And if you look at our USP, optical quality, iconic design, made in Sweden, Swedish craftsmanship, and living history. So in optical quality, I think a good picture taken takes good ergonomics first of all. If you
Yes.
can't hold the camera, and it's very difficult to hold the camera, you know, it's already not a good starting point. Second of all is intuition and intuitive display, and good quality display was key. Because during your work, you want to see in a very good display, you want to see what did I shoot.
Yeah, especially
The
with
DP
progressives.
Absolutely. The resolution is in the DPI is the same as an Apple iPad. And then you do an intuitive display because I said, we are a Scandinavian brand, so talking about Swedish craftsmanship. It reminded me when I had my first Nokia. And the first Nokia, the menu worked as my brain worked somehow. And it is somewhat of that Scandinavian intuitive reaction in terms of keeping it simple, yeah, having all the features what you want, but keeping it simple. So we took the inspiration from a smartphone because everybody knows now if you scroll down, you go to your settings, you swipe, you pinch, you double click, and we follow that logic.
You actually have pinching as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and double click and you pinch, and then, I mean, we shot yesterday with a journalist here in New York, and he said it was 10 years ago that he shot with a medium format. He was so amazed. He shot a still life shot, some fruit on a plate. I said, look at this. And just, wow. So the little sand corns on that. And I think that is a very important and intuitive of a display can only be aligned with a smartphone, because that's what we do every day. We use it every day, and so that's. But really, you have to see and try it on the stations. It's really, really good.
I intend to. I absolutely intend to. Now, you had a renowned photographer play with the H6D for a few days, and he was out here a little bit before, Tom Oldham.
Tom Oldham, so British photographer from London. He did the shoot in actually in Sweden, Stockholm. But not only Tom shot with the 100, but also had Carl Taylor. So Carl Taylor did more studio shot. There's a video on that online as well.
Little Jackson, channeling Jackson Pollock a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, he was a bit throwing paint around.
yeah.
We didn't paint for the cleaning, so it was his choice.
Saved a lot of money.
Yeah, we saved money there.
Yeah.
But really good to see not only their work and their content, which in a way that's our job. We are the enabler to give them the freedom of their expression and their creativity. But it's also good to stress test with them the system because they will drive the camera to the limit. They ask a lot. They are convinced. They were really, really positive and really helpful. Also for us during the shoot, oh, we need to do this better. We need to do this better. So that was a very important process always when you launch your camera, that you work with one of the more famous photographer, because a system like the H6 and that what it can do, of course quality is key as a first step.
So it's real world use cases. Now, one of the things that Tom said, and he said it beautifully, I think, and it goes very much to this user experience, ergonomics, keep it simple. He said something that really resonated with me. He said, you want a camera to be a conduit to your ideas. And you don't want it to get into the way. And you've got that huge screen on the back. It's got nice big icons. I'm revealing or my age. But it's beautiful. It's lovely. One of the other things, and I haven't tried the camera yet, I will go out, but ergonomics, of course, is also a function of the physical camera and the grip in particular. So you said that the viewfinder you've brought over, but everything else is new. Does that include the grip?
No, we kept the grip. So those are the things we didn't change because we felt that the ergonomics were already good. I mean, the grip with, the shutter, and that's why we celebrated with an orange color. It's going to be somewhat of an iconic color. We use that color also in some of the other products and lenses. But just to celebrate, hey, feel that. That grip where your pointing finger really fits well, but also the middle finger fits onto the other menu because you have two other buttons. And by the way, they're completely aligned. So when I touch the one on the grip, let's say I put another ISO in, or let's say I put an ISO of 800 in, it really changes on the display as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So on top of that, I can lock there as well. So there's a lot of thought process being that is aligned as well. We didn't want to change the ergonomics, just we felt that was one of our strong points. I mean, that grip, how you hold a Hasselblad really this way, yeah, is such a natural way of taking a camera in your hand. So, and it's, and then adding to that the features that we did, yeah.
Now, you're also launching this with a 10 lens system?
No, we have 12.
12?
We have 12 existing H lenses, as they're called, HC lenses. They're all going to be compatible, so, you know, it's also 75 years, like I said before, is celebrating with our customers who bought into the system. So I think it was very important that if somebody had an H4 and H5 and had a set of lenses, just click it on the new system, all compatible. The only difference is that the new lenses, so the upgraded lenses, so let's say an existing user, so okay, now it's time that I invested in some additional lenses, then he gets that increased combined shutter speed to 1 to 2,000ths of a second.
And did I hear it right that if you have older lenses, they can be brought in and upgraded?
Well, that was something that what I just spoke to Paul, but is not true. So there's no upgrade. No, it's very important because you know, it's all new, and I think in the enthusiasm he said, okay, there's an upgrade program. Of course, there's an upgrade program for trading in your lens. But there's not an upgrade possibility from a sensor inside.
Let's talk about that. So you've got the 50 megapixel sensor, you've got the 100 megapixel sensor. Now,
I actually have three. We have H5D 50. It's going to be current. We'll have a special price, like we did in December. So an entry price point. You have the H6D 50. So both of them are 250 CMOS sensors, and then you have the 100.
Gotcha. Now, let's get down to brass tacks and numbers, because it's very interesting. Perry, you've made a point again and again that Hasselblad is about image quality, it's about friends, it's about the photographer.
Yeah.
And in your comments just outside, you talked about a way of honoring those things in a very bottom line pragmatic way, with a trade-in using the H5. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we had, look, celebrating 75 years for us was, it's all about the product. We didn't invest anything in marketing and communication besides digital. And it was really putting a roadmap for 2016 together, we give back to our customer and our friends. Yeah. Because there were a lot of talks the last 3 years about Hasselblad and the authenticity, etc., etc. So bringing back Hasselblad to the roots. Then, of course, we have so many people believing in us. There's so much, I didn't want to sound as arrogant, but there's a lot of goodwill. Yeah, we talked about it before conversationally. And I think it was important for people that invested in a system that their lenses are all compatible, no question asked, but also the most attractive trade-in program that we ever had in the company. That if you were a Hasselblad user, and you can go up to a trade-in value of $11,500 here in the US. So if you have an H5D 50, you get back $11,500 for your H5D 50.
Is it trade-in value, or is it the trade-in differential? Because
no, it's the trade-in value.
Gotcha.
I said it wrong on
Okay.
stage. Jet lag, maybe.
You get a pass. It's a busy day for you.
It was a busy day, it was a busy week, it was a busy year, it was a very busy period. But no, it's the trade-in value can go up to $11,500, which really, really amazing for, also celebrating with those customers. Said, okay, you come in a system, you come into a Hasselblad system, and you feel giving a little bit more security, because for many photographers, also quite a substantial investment.
It's a huge investment.
And I think it's very important to give people the opportunity and say, okay, I'm not ready yet, but later on I will be ready. So this trade-in program is always something that stays for a longer period of time, that is not limited to a certain period. And I think that's important to give that security for people investing in the system and investing in the glass.
You make a wonderful point, and one of the core values going back to 1957 is this modularity.
Yeah.
Now, it's beautiful that you can have the same grip, you can have the same viewfinder, even the angled prism finder for the 500. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Yeah.
But is it also the case that this has been modularized to the point where at some point in the future, when it's 200 megapixels, can the back be removed and a 200 megapixel sensor, say,
I
put
don't
in
know
place?
about the 200 megapixel sensor. I'm not aware about the 200 megapixel sensor.
I'm just making up a number. I mean, it's inevitable. We are now riding Moore's law.
I know.
You know, it's electronics, and it's just going to get.
But personally, I don't know if we need. Look, for us, the 100 megapixel was not a revolution in a sense, because we had our multi-shot solution. So a lot of the museums, like the Museum of Modern Art here in New York,
Oh, sure.
Forbidden City in Beijing, the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, etc., are using the multi-shot solution because their requirements is this high-end resolution. I think if you go to the 100 megapixel it's quite a big file.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that everybody needs that. For us, it was important to be there and still make that because there are requests in the market, but also from a positioning for Hasselblad, that we want to be perceived as one of the best cameras, but also not only from a handling and from the optical quality, but also from a specification.
And returning to the basic point, the user experience, but you're talking in a way that allows me to define user experience as the totality of the experience, the gestalt of it, everything from handling of the camera to interacting with the company itself. Now, let's talk about that just for a couple of minutes, and then I know you've got more things to do out there, but it was really interesting. You only recently came on as a CEO, and you placed a big bet 2 weeks ago. I put out a video where I had a Blackmagic camera. It reminded me of nothing so much as the 500C, and I had them both on camera, and I loved it. And I said, wouldn't it be something if Blackmagic and Hasselblad did a deal, and if they got Sony and not knowing anything, and then you and I bumped into each other on the street, and you said, yeah, we did it without, just on our own, which is a big deal.
I think it was important that we did it ourselves. We invested a lot, and the money that we had went into R&D in 2015. There was no money for marketing communication, like I said before, and it was important that it is made in Sweden. And we are a Swedish brand, and it's not a marketing story. I mean, please, you will be invited in Göteborg, and you see the factory, you see the R&D department. It was an amazing journey in 2015, not an easy one. I mean, this was not easy. But the money from some of the divestments we did, the investment of DJI that came in October last year, the saving on the marketing went all into the resources, the people, the testing equipments, the research to deliver a new electronic platform. And yes, it was sometimes a bet. But listening to the reaction, it gives a lot of satisfaction. And it's also satisfaction that what we announced that we're going to deliver. It's not that Hasselblad sometimes announced and then was many months later was delivered. So we also have here a system in-house that we start shipping in the same month when we start talking about it.
Fantastic.
And I think that's the philosophy going forward. Let's not talk when you have nothing to say. Let's talk when you have something to say. And then hopefully, but all our dedication is there, to over-deliver and under-promise, then vice versa, over-promise and under-deliver. So that's been the philosophy, and that's what we've also been working hard with the whole team in Sweden. The guys got drunk last week, of course, because it was important to also release tension, because you have this R&D program they call sprints. You go from sprint to sprint to sprint.
Agile methodology.
Absolutely, and there we put a lot of effort, and you know how it is bringing a product to market, not only for us, but that's for any technology company, any camera brand. You always have the hurdles that you have to overcome.
Well, Perry, we're running on a pair of very small cameras which have 30-minute limitations.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to hit them yet.
So we can change that. There
So-
is some more product available for you.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is, assuming that we're still within that 30-minute limit, I want to say thank you and congratulations. It's a very exciting product. There is a story about a company which actually is committed to the people who work there in the country of origin. It's lovely. So I want to thank you for that.
No, thank you too. Thanks for having me.
It is really, truly my pleasure and my honor. And with that being said, if we have a couple of minutes
Sure.
left running, you said something very interesting, which also goes to this melding of the future with the values of the past. Part of the Hasselblad origin story, as you just pointed out, on the other side of that door all the way down there, is that Hasselblad, to a certain extent, began with an aerial camera.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned, went right under the radar, that DJI, the very same company that makes the Phantom 3 and now the 4, was an investor. Is there anything that you want to share about that? Because that's a very interesting combination.
No, it was a very interesting combination. I think, first of all, we're very pleased them as a minority investor. So they're a minority investor. Would love to do something together. So yes, there are contacts, there are discussions. I'm not sure yet that we're ready to announce. I think let's keep the philosophy. When we're ready, let's talk. And then let's over-deliver and under-promise. So that's one thing. We have an excellent relationship with DJI. So actually, as a matter of fact, we're now in New York. Tomorrow I have a flight to China and we'll be also visiting DJI in Shenzhen. I want to get as much face time, as much brain power from DJI. They've been an excellent partner and really supportive. So if that results into a common product or a joint product or a modular product, we would be more than happy to do that. But it has to be in partnerships always that the value proposition and that what you deliver is an authentic value proposition where each partner delivers an added value and not just a branding story.
Good. That's wonderful. Perry,
Thank you.
what a pleasure.
Good pleasure.
Guys, Hugh Brownstone, Three Blind Men and an Elephant. See you next time.
Now the autofocus works?